Well, I guess investors would have seen recently we've made two announcements. One, that the project was approved by SASAC, the main Chinese regulator, and two, that the joint venture was restructured. So I might just touch on the significance of those two announcements, the major milestones. The first is that the way Chinese state-owned enterprises act, they are owned by the government. They are accountable to the government, and the main regulator is SASAC, State Asset Supervisory Commission. It's taken some time to get that approval, but SRIG now have that approval. That means they can go ahead. It's certainly changed the way in which they think about the transaction, and they're moving quite aggressively now to get towards close. So SASAC approval is a major milestone. What we announced just this morning was that SRIG were using an investment vehicle that they have set up in Hong Kong with two other Sichuan provincially state-owned entities, which are active in real estate and development. Now that entity in Hong Kong already has 200 million US in it. It is raising more money, and essentially the intention of the Sichuan province is to create an international investment vehicle, which can go out and look at high-tech investments, resorts in Australia, mining, all sorts of things. And a good analogy for those of you familiar with the mining industry would be Graham, who own Pan Australian. They took them over maybe a year or two ago. So this is a really good thing in that we have the province of Sichuan essentially standing behind this. As we understand it, the Sichuan government approval is routine and essentially a matter of process. However, I would always say that until something is done, it's not done. So we just got to let that go. And that may take another few months or more, we'll see. China is different, it takes time. But those two milestones essentially mean that we have a clear understanding of the investment vehicle, the money's already outside China and Hong Kong, and the government has made the major approval. You may have read in the ASX announcements that we've extended the dates for closing the transaction. They're last dates. So there are two dates that we mentioned. One was June 30, that's the date to execute the documentation, the subscription agreement. So it moves from a heads of agreement to a formal agreement. And then there's conditions subsequent to that that you have to wait until that's signed, and they have to be finished by 31 July. We're quite confident that that's going to be achieved. And to accommodate SRIG's need for more time, in turn they have given us an increase to the agreed budget. That's now sitting at 3.1 million US, and that money is money that we've spent over this last year and a half on the project, on an agreed budget that is deducted from the 25 million US contribution that we have to make to the project. So essentially we're looking at the net contribution from Altona will be around 22 million US. We have already bought those US dollars and hedged that risk away. Altona has more than enough money to subscribe. So when this transaction closes, we pay our stamp duty fees, we already have the US dollars, and we should be comfortably up and running. And I again stress this transaction. The entity will have something like 230 million US dollars, 225 to 230 million US dollars in the bank, more than enough to build this project, more than enough for working capital and contingency. So we're one step closer to delivering essentially a financially de-risked project. So the next steps are, first is for SRIG to obtain Foreign Investment Review Board approval in Australia. That should take around a month. They lodge that approval very shortly, that application for approval very shortly. The next step is Sichuan provincial government approval. That is currently in progress. That may take between 1.5 months and 2 or 3 months. We have to wait and see. We then look to execute the subscription agreement by June 30 and close of the transaction, financial close, 1 month after that, 31 July.